Hey everybody, Coach Mel here today. Welcome to the MelFit podcast where we talk all things health, fitness, and lifestyle. I am an online health and fitness expert. I just summed it up. You heard the intro, you know. The only thing we need to add on there, Josh, is magazine publishers. So Josh and I are getting ready to finalize our summer edition of MelFit Healthy Times. Our third edition, Josh. Can you believe it? So welcome. If you're watching this on YouTube or if you're listening to this on a podcast, I highly encourage you to move your body while you listen to this. Go on a walk, go on a run, go on a bike ride. Just move your body. If it's cold outside, get on a piece of equipment, stretch while you're listening to this, but move your body. So today's podcast, and I've kind of been doing these as a spin-off of my Facebook Live because I've done so many Facebook Lives where I've thought, gosh, this is such good information, like more people than just the people on the MelFit Connect group should hear it. Or this is such good information, I'd love to just have a spot to store this. So if somebody asks this same question, I'm not constantly, typing or speaking a voice text that's a million miles long. So it's a quick reference. I get that all the time, and it's been so helpful, Josh. I can go, go listen to podcast number 53. I talk all about da-da-da-da. So if you listen to the Facebook Live and you heard this again, it's good information, and I'm going to add to it. So a MelFit client who just started my 12-week boot camp, who is a nurse, her name is Stephanie. She lives in Arizona, which is where my twin sister lives. She asked, I always put on my announcement for my Facebook Weekly Live topic ideas, because I am not doing this for my good. I know for my own benefit, I'm doing this for you guys. I already know what I'm doing. I don't need motivation. I'm motivated on my own. I already know this stuff. So when people suggest topic ideas or ask questions, I really like it. And I think, gosh, you know what? If one person is curious about that, then other people are. So there's quite a few questions here. We've got 45 minutes to an hour to talk about it. So we'll kind of unwrap this little ball of yarn. And the main topic was my backstory and my reasoning behind MelFit. And I think that's pretty important to anybody who's working with me or is thinking about working with me. Who am I? Like, what am I about? What are my morals and values? What do I stand for? So I think this is a super, super great topic, and these questions that she asked are very valid and legit, and I was super happy and excited to answer them. So excited I made a podcast out of it. So I didn't go back as far as I'm going to go today because my Facebook Lives, I'm trying to keep a little bit shorter. I'm trying to keep them 30 minutes, but I did end up going a little bit over. If you hear Oscar panting in the background, we just got back from a run, so he's trying to cool down. So my backstory in relation to health and fitness goes back to kind of my own weight loss journey. I grew up always, underweight. People were always trying to put weight on me. My best friend growing up, Jana Hartsock, her parents would always try to feed me milk to fatten me up, and I think that's probably why I don't like milk to this day, because I used to see, like, on top of the cream, I would see like black cow hairs, plus we named the cows, and yeah, anyways, so my twin sister and I grew up on 100 acres up the North Fork River, along with my older sister Tiffany. And back then there were no cell phones, there were no video games, well, maybe like Pac-Man or Atari, but there wasn't a lot of things to keep you in the house. And we lived on a child's dream. We had horses, pigs, chickens, goats, a garden, ducks, flying squirrels. I mean, we had everything under the sun. So there was so much to do outside, and we thought that chores were fun because, of course, when we went to feed the animals, we got to see the animals. So when we got up in the morning before school, we would help feed the animals, and it was just kind of what we did. We'd go up in the mountains and run for hours. We basically were gone from sun up till sundown. So we really didn't know what it was like to be overweight, and we weren't overweight until I turned about 19. And I think where things went south there is I started getting into drinking alcohol, and I was I think we might have talked about this on another podcast. I don't know why. Josh, remember me talking about Denny's? Yeah. Was I talking about another podcast? But yeah, we'd end up at Denny's, and I think that's kind of where it all started. And it happened so quickly, and I was always used to being so small. Like, I think that I almost didn't realize it until first of all, when I talk about my size, I'm not saying that this size is a size that's big, or it's a size that's, if somebody were to wear that size, they were overweight. But for my frame, it was a big size for me. So don't anybody listening be offended by this in any way, shape, or form. So my mom is very petite. She's a little bit taller than me. I think she's like 5'4", 5'3", and like 110 pounds growing up. My twin sister and I were always very petite. And I mean, I don't even think I was over 100 pounds for the longest time. So I remember getting into, my 13s were big, so I was having to get into like a size 15. What was typical for me was more like a size 3. So I think that was kind of my aha moment. And I never grew up knowing how to eat properly. My mom didn't teach me that. My mom was a good cook, but everything she cooked was really not healthy, real hearty, and like roast beef and mashed potatoes and gravy and just things like that weren't super healthy. So I kind of had to figure it out for myself. I think Stephanie asked if I did a plan. What plan did I do first before I came up with my with MelFit? And I remember just kind of seeking out, first of all, doing the same thing that everybody does, is hiring a personal trainer. And the first person that I hired was, I call him my brother from another mother, and he didn't have any nutritional experience, and he kind of farmed me out to someone, and the person that he farmed me out to said, "You're good." And I said, "No, I'm not good. I wouldn't be, overweight and at an unhealthy body fat if I was good." So I got a little frustrated there, and I thought to myself, you know what? If I ever did this for a living, I would want to be the package deal. I feel like nutrition and fitness should go hand in hand. So I tried to find somebody in my area to help me with nutrition, and I just couldn't find anybody that was super knowledgeable in that field. So I decided that I would just roll up my sleeves and just start reading and researching and figuring it out for myself. And I think I'm the best guinea pig. Why not use my own body? So everything I've done to get to my goal weight, which I've maintained for over 20 years, everything that you are seeing with MelFit is literally me living my life, and all the tips and tricks I give you are things that I did. So I've kind of been on this 20-year journey of self-exploration, self-discovery, weight loss, self-care. So of course, when you're getting into personal training and nutrition, you need a certificate. So this is where the question for her, as far as, what is your schooling, what is your background? And the one thing that I always tell people, I went to the school of hard knocks. I'm very street smart. I can be book smart. I can study. I can read. I research every day. I read. I listen to podcasts. We didn't have a lot of money. I've been on my own since I was 14. There was no money for college. When I was 19, I was working 3 jobs. I did enroll for short period of time. I feel like it was only a semester at North Idaho College, and I could not keep my jobs together and go to school, and I had to pay my own bills, so it was either one or the other, and unfortunately the schooling went. So I'm going to fast forward a little bit to I started out I'm going to fast forward a little bit to when I was about 27. I started just training people out of my friend's garage. I'm trying to stick to health and fitness. There is, of course, a lot of in-between stuff there, but I'm going to try to stick to health and fitness. I started training. My friend lived in a really nice home on the Post Falls River, actually down from my house now, and he offered me to come into his garage, set up a gym, and I could use the gym as long as I trained him. And it worked out to be such a beautiful friendship. I would, help him with a lot of his food, and I ended up training him, and I ended up training a lot of other people. And back then, I just kind of did it pro bono. The reason I didn't charge is because part of me didn't want to make another hobby of mine into a business, which, if you know me, I've opened up a new business every 4 years since I was 27. And sometimes when you do that, it takes the joy away when you turn your hobby into something to make money. So I was just kind of testing the waters, and we worked out at least probably 5-6 days a week there every week for 3 years. And at the same time, I had a drive-through coffee stand and a catering business. And after 13 years, after 3 years, I closed the catering business because I couldn't get anybody to help me run it. And after 13 years, I sold the drive-through coffee stand. So I was kind of at a crossroads of what to do, and I'd always been into health and fitness, and of course I'd been figured out how to get to my goal weight years ago and had maintained. So my friend Cecil, who owned the home, he told me, you need to open up your own studio, and it's kind of a funny story. It's kind of an interesting story if you think about it. I started in the garage of my friend's house, and now look at how we've grown MelFit. So I was hesitant again for the reason of, it's my hobby. It's just something that I enjoy doing. And I got a lot of experience just training my friends and getting my friends to their goal weights. So during that 3 years, I got Cecil to his goal weight and several other people that would come to my little group fitness class to their goal weight. And I guess I kind of figured out I was good at it. And long story short, Cecil, he ended up selling his house. And I remember that, my heart broke because I trained there, I hung out there, he let me keep my paddleboard there, he let me keep my our boat there, and my heart just broke. I definitely wasn't into going to the gym anymore. I was so spoiled by having my own space. So shortly after I sold my coffee stand, I started looking for a space, and I found a space walking distance from my coffee stand, which was so cool because if people came looking for me, they could just walk into my brick and mortar. So I opened that up, and I remember feeling super scared. You commit to a lease and you don't have any clients. And I remember feeling that, nervousness of, am I going to get any clients? And I talked to my old trainer, my brother from another mother, Bo, and I asked him, well, what do you think is a good amount of clients to work up to? And he said, well, first of all, you don't want to burn yourself out. Shoot, if you could get, 24 clients, you're going to be pretty darn busy. So the first week I opened up my brick and mortar studio, I had 24 clients, and I was stacked and racked 5:30 in the morning till probably 4:30, 5:30 in the evening. I'd have like an hour and a half break, and I couldn't do that for very long. It was a lot, and I ended up hiring my clients, my weight loss clients, who I would get to their goal weight. One girl 110, one girl 118, one girl 50. Anyways, ended up basically anybody that I would transform, I would hire them as a personal trainer. It gave them a lot of self-confidence because I told them, I believe in you. I know you know how to do it. I taught you how to do it. You know what I'm about. And at that point, I dropped down to about 21 people, and we had, our door never stopped. We were just booked from the minute we were open till the minute we closed. Gosh, I can't even tell you how many clients we had, because we did also, besides one-on-one, we had a few group sessions during the day. So it was really, really awesome. And I found myself at a crossroads with, is this making me happy? Like, I've always been very selfless and all about everybody else's happiness, but I found myself getting a little bit sad. Seasonal affective disorder, living in Idaho for 47 years, getting up at 4:30 in the morning and just grinding. And I just woke up one morning and I told my husband, I'm selling my studio. I want to be able to travel in the winter. My twin sister's in Arizona, my mom's in Arizona, my stepdaughter's in Florida, my niece is in Cuba. We don't have to stay here in the winter because my husband's concrete business is shut down from Thanksgiving to spring. So I ended up selling it to employee of mine, and it was really, really hard. I didn't want to let down my clients, and I contemplated even telling them for about 2 weeks. It was really hard. I almost couldn't tell them without crying, and I'm still dear friends with a lot of people that I used to train. A lot of those clients are members of MelFit, and I think the thing that was frustrating for me was I wanted employees so that I could go travel, and I had such a good connection and friendship, and I spoiled my clients so much that they wouldn't want to work with anybody else but me. So I never felt like I could go for very long because they were waiting for me to get back to train them. So my husband wanted me to retire, and I helped the gal that I sold the studio to for about 3 weeks or so. She's very knowledgeable about health and fitness, but maybe needed just a little bit of help on how the business runs and the business side of things. And I would, go on long runs, and you could eat off the rocks at my house. Like, everything was clean. When you take somebody who's been flying out the door by the seat of her pants at 4:30 and coming home at dark for 30 years, and then all of a sudden, there's no obligation. I don't have to be anywhere. We do have a small, some rentals and our own property management business, but that's easy peasy. You collect the rent, and there's very few repairs here and there, but it's a pretty simple business to run. It's not like it requires a lot of me. So I just felt like I was focused and not finished. I felt like I had a lot of value to still give to the world, but I wanted it to be on my terms. Everything I'd ever done in my life was for everybody else. And what was important to me was having the flexibility of being able to write my own schedule, actually drink a cup of coffee before it was cold. I would make a cup of coffee at my coffee stand at 5 in the morning, and at 12:30 noon, I maybe had taken 2 sips and made 300 cups of coffee and ended up dumping it. I wanted to have a little bit more joy in my days and a little bit more work-life balance. There had to be more to life than just, chasing a dollar. So that's where I came up with MelFit, and I knew that it had to be online. It had to be something that I could do from anywhere in the world with my laptop and phone. And I wanted to, the thing that scared me the most is I didn't know if I could make deep connections. But Josh and I have been at MelFit for, 2+ years, and we really have made some deep connections. And there's people that have found MelFit and they've been searching for this their whole life, and they understand what MelFit is all about, and they park their car here and they don't leave. So I wanted to touch on a couple things as far as certifications. Yes, of course, I did get my personal training certification and my nutrition certification, but I really feel like, and these are a few things that I didn't say on the live, if you take a person and they go through a personal training certification, they are not going to have the knowledge that I do. Why I have the knowledge is because I've worked with the people. I've, trained hundreds of people and had hundreds of transformations. I mean, that's what really makes a good personal trainer. If you're just getting out of school, the best place for you is probably going to be to, go somewhere to maybe a box gym where somebody trains you and kind of like you need to get the experience. But I was never a clipboard holder trainer. I literally worked out with every single person. If they were on the floor doing a push-up, I was doing a push-up. It was probably a little bit taxing on my body, but I wanted people to feel like they had a workout partner next to them. I wanted them to know that I could do everything I wanted them to do. And then I also didn't want them to feel self-conscious, like if they were in a plank and they were overweight, if their, shirt was open, I didn't want them to think I was staring at them, or if they felt uncomfortable that their body was moving, any extra body fat, that I wasn't staring at them. So, if you're on the floor, I'm on the floor. I'm not standing above you, making you feel, inferior and standing there with a clipboard like Ferris Bueller's teacher saying, Bueller, okay, give me 5 squats. Like, who's going to stick with that? Like, my people stuck with me because I was fun. I had a different workout every day. I helped them pass the time. I was a friend. I was a life coach. Like, it shouldn't be monotonous where somebody's checking you off. Okay, did you do your 20 lunges? Okay, good. You did your squats. Like, blah. That's so boring. So, as far as certifications like nutritionists versus dietitians, I've had a few people bring to the table, my friend's a dietitian, and I think to myself, it doesn't matter what your friend, what piece of paper we all have. It matters what you bring to the table. I feel like I could go toe to toe with most dietitians and most doctors because I've dealt with a lot of dietitians and a lot of doctors who I have more knowledge and more validity and more proof of success than they do. Just because you know it and you've learned it, have you executed it? Have you actually tested these theories on actual people? That's where I feel like it doesn't matter whether, you're self-taught or you've got $100,000 worth of schooling. What did you do with it when you got done? Also, as far as culinary school, no, I didn't go to culinary school. Am I a chef? Yeah, I'm a chef. I could go toe to toe with anybody. I can cook anything. I can eat in a restaurant. I can recreate it. I love a challenge. I could make you a 7-course meal, or I could make you a meal in 1 minute, right, Josh? So, I keep my recipes 25 minutes, and I think what makes somebody a chef is being able to create something from nothing. If you gave me 3 ingredients, I could make you something. Being able to be creative and use your intuition and your taste buds and your senses and just know, what would flow with this, and just being super creative. And another question Stephanie asked is, how do I come up with my recipes? recipes that I've been making for years, or I'm doing kind of a eat this, not that, taking a recipe, something like super stick to your ribs comfort foods, and transforming your shepherd's pie to something that's gluten-free, dairy-free, no processed sugar, or beef stroganoff, or basically teaching the world that you can actually replace, not remove, and we can still live life, and you could not feel like you're on a diet. We don't use the D word at MelFit. We use whole foods, nutrition plan, clean eating. Those are the words we use. We don't use the C word, which is cheat. We have a free day. We have what we choose. We don't use the F word, which is fat. We don't self-destruct or put ourselves down. We talk about body fat in a scientific way, in reference to how much body fat we're carrying, and we work on reducing that, but we don't put ourselves down. So I also come up with a lot of recipes from you guys, based on, you wanting me to, oh, my grandma used to make this, could you make this healthier? Yeah, so I love a good challenge there. So the reasoning behind MelFit and how I structured it probably comes from things I've tried, definitely, because Stephanie asked, like, did I do a plan first? So, of course, I've tried everything you've tried. I've tried Atkins. I've tried paleo. I've tried Whole30. I've tried this. I've tried that. I've never tried keto. So, I've tried carb cycling. I've tried counting macros. I've tried intermittent fasting. And that's what makes me a good coach, because I've tried all of that. Like, I understand, I know what every diet you're doing is, code red, like, I get it, and it's easy for me to coach somebody. So many people come to me who failed on code red, or failed on keto, or failed on this, and then I want to roll up my sleeves and tell them that I think the reason that most people fail is because A, it's not sustainable long term, and B, it's too restrictive, because otherwise you wouldn't have quit. So I knew that MelFit had to be a lifestyle. It had to be sustainable long term. It had to be fun. It had to be 25-minute recipes. It had to be for busy entrepreneurial people like myself, 25-minute workouts, whole body, in and out, something that's really doable. It had to be gluten-free, dairy-free, and no processed sugar. We all know that we shouldn't be consuming sugar. That's easy. Dairy, I'll go toe-to-toe with anybody. No one's losing weight eating dairy. Dairy is for small children and animals trying to increase their size quickly, okay? And even that, I think that, there's a certain amount of there's a lot of room to discuss that area too. So dairy causes inflammation. As soon as you remove dairy, your inflammation will go down. I remember when I was younger, I always used to have bumps on the back of my arms. I don't have those bumps anymore because I don't consume dairy. I used to call them milk bumps. Now I kind of really know. So also gluten. MelFit had to be an anti-inflammatory meal plan. And hundreds of clients and hundreds of success stories have proved that eliminating these three things 6 days of the week creates lots of success. Not only on the scale, but just the way your skin looks, and bloating, and better digestion, and gosh, no more heartburn, lower blood pressure, lower cholesterol. Even a lot of people who have reported getting off of their mental health medications because they're feeling better and they're not having so much anxiety about losing weight. I remember that weight was on my mind every day. Like the minute I woke up, you got to go get dressed. So then the anxiety comes again. Then you got to go see people, and then the anxiety comes again. And then somebody invites you somewhere and you don't really feel good about the way you look, so the anxiety comes in. So I think that it definitely goes hand in hand, that a lot of people's medications and pills are going in the trash the more they get into it. Another thing I wanted to touch on that Stephanie asked about is I want to talk about macros. And I always tell people the reason that I didn't want this to be about counting macros is because, and I just ask you, do you want to count macros for the rest of your life? If your answer is no, then MelFit is for you. Do you want a carb cycle for the rest of your life? Do you want to decrease your carbohydrates to 5% for the rest of your life? Do you want to do intermittent fasting for the rest of your life? If your answer is no to all of those things, then MelFit is right for you. So I wanted something that was really like, doable. So how can the same plan apply from person to person? Well, I touched on this yesterday. If you were a brick and mortar client and you wanted nutrition coaching, I could only do that on Friday. The other 4 days were training. And if you wanted to be a client and coaching for nutrition, it would cost you $800 a month. So I wanted MelFit to be very affordable in that aspect. And when you've gone through one of my plans, most people tell me I over-deliver and undercharge, which is so great. I just really want people to feel like they got the value. Like I don't want them to be done and think, well, that was a ripoff. So what I found is I would spend an hour with someone, spend another hour, create a meal plan, and then the next week it was like Groundhog's Day. Spend another hour, another meal plan. So it's like, okay, this is costing them a lot of money. It's costing me a lot of time, and people get bored really easy. So that's where I came up with the 12-week boot camp. Also, I think if you're going to truly, truly transform your life, if you've had 5 years of bad habits, 10 years of bad habits, 15 years of bad habits, that's not going to happen in 21 days. That's not going to happen in 6 weeks. You need a good 12 weeks of successes and failures to really, really make the transition of the lifestyle. So that's why I came up with the 12-week boot camp where you get a new meal plan every week. And the baseline, the calories are just a baseline. 99.9% of my clients aren't eating enough. So if they've eaten all their food, breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack, dessert, and drank all their water, and they're still hungry, I give them more calories. Or if you're very active, have a basal metabolic rate, of course you'll get more calories. Or if you're a man and you require more calories, you'll get more calories. It's just a baseline. So it's very scalable. What's really interesting is when you fill out your questionnaire, I see, oh, no judgment at all. This was me too. I ate apple fritters. Oh, Jane is eating 2,500 calories of processed foods, and she's panicking and I'm going to starve her. And she's super worried before she even starts. But her first week, she can't even get in the calories, which were approximately, it's definitely not under 1,200, it's not over 1,500. So it's approximately close to 1,500 calories. So she can't even get those in. Go figure. Isn't that funny? So it generally, the problem works itself out. The fear that I'm going to starve you or that it's not enough. It's enough. Also, when you've got 1,500 calories of whole food, the volume of the food you're eating is so much more. I mean, you'll see like a full day of eating on MelFit, it looks like this. A full day of eating on processed foods. I mean, gosh, one piece of pizza could eat up what? 500-600 calories, Josh, if it was a big one. That's almost like your whole day. Or one Costco muffin is 900 calories, so that could eat up your whole day. So it's very, very scalable. So I think that Stephanie, if I didn't already mention, she was a nurse, and I love her curiosity, and I love that she kind of wanted to really understand the thought process. So all of these things were my thought process. And Josh and I spent 1,000 hours, basically a whole winter, blood, sweat, and tears creating MelFit. Sometimes we would film, three videos a day. So we created, videoed, inputted into MyFitnessPal, crunched numbers, calories, macros, tested, ate every recipe on my plans. And I remember when I thought, it was in the early days of MelFit, and I don't even know if I told Josh this yet, or maybe he's heard me talk about it. I don't know, but I remember feeling that it was coming, like that I felt like MelFit was going to be great. In the beginning, it was not good, right, Josh? We had a lot of fails. I mean, we are not perfect. We always tell people, #not perfect. If you see a misspelled word, or you come across a video that's supposed to be a cookie and it's a something else, like sometimes there's things that go crazy on the back end, like just let us know. Like we're always open to constructive criticism and improvement. And we had a lot of frustrations and a lot of roadblocks, and we just continue to get better. So I'd say we're good now, right? Wouldn't you, Josh? So then we want to be GOAT, greatest of all times, right? So I remember crying on my deck because I knew, like, I was overwhelmed with this rush of, I knew it was going to be good. And I'll try not to cry, but I remember we had a party for MelFit, and my speech was, I could not have done this 20 years ago. I couldn't have done this 5 years ago. Why? Because I needed to fail and succeed, and I needed to just have the experience with all of the amazing people that I worked with. And I needed to study, and I needed to find Josh, and I needed to build, and it's paid off tenfold. And I just want people to know, like, Josh and I, you don't open up that app. That didn't come out of a hat. That is us. Josh is either in here editing a video, loading a video, we're filming a video, we're writing. I mean, we are constantly doing things to make MelFit great, and for you guys to have this awesome resource at the tip of your hands. And I have to tell you, you don't need another cookbook for the rest of your life when you find MelFit. You know, it's my only resource. I think it's kind of funny that when I cook in my kitchen, I open up my own app, and I'm making MelFit recipes, and it is truly, hopefully, your last stop, because all the recipes are, well-rounded, well-balanced, a good combination of carbs, fats, protein, and a good amount of calories. And you could probably put together, if you need help, of course, you have me, but you could probably put together a pretty good menu for yourself and feel like everything is pretty safe. So I wanted to just kind of look over and make sure that I didn't miss any of Stephanie's questions. So the one thing that I did say in the Facebook Live on Tuesday is, I guess, did I already say this, Josh, that I thought, maybe I told you that this morning when you were training, but I kind of really didn't realize that it was such a skill that to be able to be a chef or to be able to cook. I mean, I just thought everybody could cook. And I'm realizing with MelFit that it is really a talent. And Stephanie said 1,000%. Thank you. That makes me feel really good. But I don't want people to ever be intimidated. Like, the recipes on MelFit, I want to simplify them for even the most beginner cook. And that is why Josh and I take the time to film me cooking every single recipe, so that you can literally follow along with the recipe. If I get ahead of you, you can push pause. You can see the ingredients that I'm using. You can listen to the hot tips. And it's like the best cooking class you've ever had. I mean, the value that's inside that app is insane for $1 a day, in my opinion, because I just constantly am trying to help you guys with that. So yeah, so I definitely, also another compliment that Stephanie gave me, that she would have never thought that I was self-taught. And I mean, that's a huge compliment. And I don't really feel like intimidated by anybody. If somebody in a white jacket with a chef coat with their name on it and a chef hat was next to me, I wouldn't feel nervous at all. Like, I would be like, let's cook together. Let's share. What's your specialty? What are you good at? Here's what and just kind of have fun with it. So, and I think I mentioned my best friend, Rob Elder, who owns one of the best restaurants in Idaho. They were voted one of the best restaurants in Idaho, and helped me when I had my catering business. And he always, him and I kind of compete a little bit. Like, if anybody's coming over that's going to appreciate that I spent 3 days making something really cool. One time I made these like miniature banana bread chocolate ganache cakes, and they were so much work, but I knew him of all people would appreciate it. Or I had a 7-course Valentine's Day dinner that took me a week. Like, I knew he would appreciate it. So I quite enjoy cooking. It's a stress reliever for me. I'm very passionate about it, and I love sharing. We have to eat every day, so who doesn't? I cook a lot of extra food all the time because I know that there's always someone that I can share my food with. I love bringing healthy food to Memorial Day barbecues or picnics. So a couple things I want to add. I'm going to take a quick sip. I want to add that I was thinking about on my run today is I had a bit of a frustrating morning. It's not even worth talking about, but I think the best stress reliever is going for a walk or working out or going for a run. Oscar and I went for a run, and I really felt so frustrated. And Josh, do you ever get so frustrated it almost paralyzes you? Like, you just feel like just sitting there and not moving. And then I'm thinking to myself, what good is that going to do? Like, I have an obligation to you guys and to Josh to show up and do what I'm going to do. And I had a couple of moments where I thought, no, I'm just going to cancel my day. I'm not going to report a podcast, and whatever we needed to finish, I'm going to finish next week. And I went for a run, and I listened to a podcast that also helped motivate me, and I thought, no, what good is that going to do? Like, I'm giving the power to the problem, right? Don't you think? I just gave all my power away to the problem, and that problem won. And I was so proud of myself, and I thought, you know what? No, I am going to do what I'm going to do. And the one thing I wrote down is don't cancel your day. Stop canceling your life. Every time a problem comes your way, don't cancel. Just face it head on. Also, don't be flaky. The worst thing in the world that somebody could call you is a flake. Like, be responsible. Be on time. Do what you say you're going to do. The other thing I heard on this podcast today, it was Ed Milet. I just love him. I'm going to finish listening to it after this. It was an hour and 48 minutes. You think ours are long. And the one thing that he said is, don't give up. Just don't give up for one more day. So if you're having a frustrating day, if you're having problems, if you're having stress, just don't give up for one more day. And that's all I ask of you. And his father gave him that advice. Don't you think that's good advice, right? So how would that serve me? It would serve me really well because I didn't give up today. I decided I'm not going to let my problem just cancel my whole day. I'm going to go ahead and just continue with everything that I said I was going to do. And I'm going to feel good. Had I not, I would have felt so guilty. I would have felt like a failure. And that is always going to be there. The work is always going to be there. And then you're just piling on more work and more stress for next week. So I thought that was really, really good advice. So I think I'll title this my backstory and kind of the reasoning behind MelFit. So hopefully if you're listening to this, you got something out of this podcast and you learned a little bit more about me. And I think more and more through the podcast, and I really do want to write a book, you'll kind of get to know me a little bit better. And I think that I've learned, which before I was a bit of a private person, I've learned that the more transparent I am with people, the more relatable I am with people, I think the better things are. I feel like the relationships can get deeper. Like if I ask you to let me in and let me on all of your deepest, darkest secrets, and and the good, the bad, and the ugly, I kind of need to do the same. So awesome subject and topic that Stephanie asked. So thank you for that question, and hopefully something in here resonated with you guys. Thanks for tuning in today. If you haven't done so already, subscribe, share the show, write a review. What else, Josh? I think that's about it. Yeah. So, all right, you guys have an awesome Memorial Day weekend, and you will hear me or see me on the next MelFit podcast. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Bye.